Welcome back to another FPL reaction stream where I'll preview Game Week 27 and review Game Week 26 so far. There's one match left in Blank Game Week 26 and that's going to happen tomorrow between West Ham and Brentford. I've got two players involved in that matchup. I'm currently on a very minimal green arrow, one of the most minimal green arrows I've ever seen, and I've gone up around 2,000 places I believe, and after substitutions are made I would have gone down by 2,000 places, but Tony and Areola could help me secure a green arrow. And yes, there is some frustration because I did get caught up a bit in the Wolves hype, for example, against Sheffield United, and Douglas Luiz and Bailey were the ones, the budget midfielders who really rose to the occasion, and they also help you cover Blank Gameweek 29. But if you are thinking of making early transfers, don't. If you have to take any advice from this stream, do not make early transfers because we've got some huge matches in midweek. On the Tuesday and Wednesday, we've got the FA Cup 5th round, and that will directly impact Blank Gameweek 29 and the fixtures that will take place. We've currently got projected 4 to 5 fixtures to happen, but it could even be more than that, or perhaps it will just stay with the free. So be sure to wait off and hold off on your transfer plans. There could be a transfer tips video tomorrow or on the Tuesday regardless, but there might have to be an updated version because the FA Cup games are crucial and that could determine your chip strategy going forwards. If it's very easy to build an 11, you could easily save the free hit for Double Gameweek 34 or 37. So there's a lot to discuss for the weekend's action. We had the Carabao Cup final just now between Chelsea and Liverpool. We finally had a goal between those two teams in a final. Obviously, congratulations to Liverpool. Let's get straight into your questions as always. And we've got quite a few, so thank you to those that have put forward their topics. So Ali says, bench 1, Foden, Richarlison, Bowen or Gordon. Extremely tough, of course. I don't think Foden should be in this conversation. I know United looks like a difficult fixture, but I actually saw a stat where United have the second most shots conceded of any team in the Premier League. Only Sheffield United have more, and Foden actually did really well last season at the Etihad against them. So he definitely starts. It's between Richarlison and Bowen for me in terms of benching one of them. And I'd probably bench Bowen, but if Paqueta is back, and he probably will be by Game Week 27, I'd be a bit more encouraged by Bowen, and he could be a very nice option for Game Week 27, 28 and 29. So as things stand, my answer will be Bowen, but later in the week that might change to Richarlison. So be sure to tune in for the deadline stream and I'll give you a definitive answer, but my current inkling is with Bowen. Raman says, hi Dylan, is Doughty a good replacement for Estupinian? Yes, he is, but I'm not going to deny that Luton Town have been struggling recently. They're losing multiple games. Doughty's getting 0 and 1 pointers, but you are right, the Game Week 27 fixture against Aston Villa is tough, but you're really buying him for Double Game Week 28 and the possibility of him featuring in Game Week 29. My advice is wait for the FA Cup results, and if Doughty will definitely feature in Game Week 29 against Nottingham Forest, then you could easily buy him now. And yes, he might blank against Aston Villa, but he should make up for it in Double Game Week 28 and Blank Game Week 29. But either way, I think for Double Game Week 28, he has a transfer in. Estupinian has been quite useless. And yes, that he might get a Premier League start very soon. But for me, Estupinian is a very easy sell, which I discussed in the recent Trans Tips video. Any news on Borro? Nothing new from the last update we got from Ange Postecoglou. He's going to be out for a couple of weeks, but he could be available for Game Week 27. I think Pedro Porro replied to someone on Twitter saying, don't sell me on FPL. But of course, that's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek comment. I personally think Borro will be available for Crystal Palace. I've still got him. He's now yellow flagged, but there's no guarantee he's going to feature in that London derby. But my gut feeling is that he will do. And yeah, I think he's going to be available. But in terms of new updates, there isn't any, unfortunately. Courage says, really loving Foden. He's been great ever since I bought him in, both FPL and UCL Fantasy. I slightly prefer him over KDB. At this moment in time, he's by far the best option in terms of minutes, FPL points, and everything going with it. But with KDB, he still has the potential, and one unpopular opinion I have is that he's a hold for Game Week 27 against Man United. I think De Bruyne will start, if he's fit, of course, and if that's the case, he could do really well against the Red Devils, who are out of sorts. They've got a lot of injury problems too, and I think Man City could decimate them. So De Bruyne could be a hold for 27, but eventually in Game Week 28, a very easy sell going into the future. Diogo says, did KDB to Douglas Luiz? Fair play. At the last minute, I'm having such luck this season, 63 points and 170k rank, now with Tony and Areola still to play. Yeah, so I actually talked about Douglas Luiz going into Game Week 25. I said he's a buy back then in preparation for the two blanks coming up, but I'm not going to lie, it did cross my mind. My original plan was to go for Douglas Luiz, but I really fancied the Wolves assets, Pedro Neto and Hwang Hee-chan against Sheffield United. I got it wrong, and let's see what happens over the next couple. I still think Hwang Hee-chan will outscore Douglas Luiz over the next two, but the gap is already far too big, and I think those that went for Douglas Luiz got the right option, especially if you're looking to navigate Blank Gameweek 29 without the free hit. I've also got the same two players, so I wish you the best, of course. Paolo, good to see you. And Gary says, happy Sunday, Scousers. Yes, enjoy it. I've actually got a lot of Liverpool fans who are celebrating right now. Good evening from Latvia. Thank you very much. That's a first. There's people from all over the world, and it's great to see. So thank you very much. It's greatly appreciated. I actually met someone from Latvia a couple of months ago, but it is a rare occurrence. News on Pau Torres. So the latest update we got from Unai Emery, I'll give you the recent comments he gave, but he was subbed off at half-time and he's had a few injury problems in recent months. That is a big shame. So yesterday, Unai Emery confirmed that Pau Torres has a small pain down the back of his leg. Hopefully he's not injured, but we decided not to take the risk with him. We will scan him. I'm thinking he's not really injured because he finished the first half, but he was telling us he was a risk. So it's just a precaution. We did hear something similar with Trent a couple of weeks ago, and it ended up being more serious, and he was then ruled out of the Carabao Cup final a couple of weeks down the line. So it's a tricky subject, of course, but Unai Emery seems quite optimistic about this, and Pau Torres could be available as soon as Gameweek 27. That's the latest update from Unai Emery. Adam says, hope all is well, Dylan. 63 points this game week with Tony and Flecken left to play, up to 100k now. Wishing you a great upcoming game week. Likewise, Adam, thank you very much. And I'm guessing you do have Douglas Luiz. If so, fair play. Even if it's just Bailey, 12 points. I'd much rather have that than Hwang's 3 points. Thank you. So good to see you, Fruit Plug. You never walk alone. A lot of Liverpool fans in the chat. Captain Hwang, he didn't even have a shot on goal. Sheffield United were the better side. Yeah, I'm not sure if they were the better side. I'm not sure what you mean. They were the more dangerous team in the first half. Then Wolves scored, they settled in a little bit, but I do understand your point of view. Hwang Hee-chan was quite useless in the game. Even just watching 20-30 minutes of it, I was just thinking, yeah, Hwang Hee-chan isn't going to do anything today, and it proved to be the case for the rest of the game. Pedro Neto looked really good once again, but no goal contributions, and Sarabia was the most threatening, with 5 shots, I believe, an XG figure of 0.4, and of course he got that winner, and Ait Nouri was the star of the show. Godhead says, bro, why'd you ruin the tunes for man? Says Godhead. My bad, mate. You can always replay it. Holdor, says Gary. Fruit Plug says, also on 50 points, Regon and Areola left. Yeah, let's wait and see. Tomorrow could be very interesting. Brentford tend to be a bogey team for West Ham. I'm hoping for the best in terms of Tony. And look, Regon for me is a good option for the next couple of weeks. And defenders have really struggled to make an impact in recent weeks, with the exception of Arsenal defenders who also failed yesterday. Bench 1, Gordon or Hwang. I'd currently go for Gordon, but it's a close call. And it's going to be typical, right? A lot of people captain or bought Hwang in this week, and then they'll bench him against Newcastle, or maybe even sell, and he does really well. I think that fixture really suits Hwang, and he's going to have much more opportunities. He's not going to go that game without a shot, I'll tell you that now. But it is frustrating. I might even bench Hwang this week, and I do prefer Gordon, to be honest. Bro, when to bring in Salah? Well, he's still injured. I actually thought he'd be available for the Carabao Cup final. I was wrong about that. I think he will be available for Forest, but of course, let's wait and see what the latest updates are. But in terms of Salah, for me, the best time to buy him is Gameweek 30. I've said that all along. I'll maintain that belief. It might be hiding behind a sofa in Gameweek 27 against Forest, but then it's Man City in Gameweek 28 and a very likely blank in 29. Carr says, bought Dunk and it paid off. What a transfer. Oh, sorry, what a header at the last minute of extra time. Yeah, fair play. And it looked like all hope was lost. Brighton were down to 10 men, losing 1-0 to Everton. Yet again, Brighton losing to them. But yeah, Dunk did come in clutch. And Pascal Gross, this guy is inevitable. He's been such a pain for me personally, but that's the way FPL can be. Good evening. Replace Estupinian. Definitely. In terms of the best replacements, if you are looking to navigate Blank Gameweek 29 without the free hit, I still think an Aston Villa defender is a good option. You've also got Reguilon, and then you've got the Spurs assets, Udogie and Pedro Porro, once they return from injuries, which could be as soon as Gameweek 27. Apart from that, I think Gabriel and Saliba are just the two best options to buy right now if you are looking to free hit in 29. Did Tony to Solanke also, what are the best replacements for Estupinian? Yeah, fair enough. I mean, Tony, Chelsea and Arsenal up next. If I decide to free hit in 29, which obviously I'll determine that after the FA Cup results, I might just end up selling Tony after having him for just 1 week. So I understand that. Solanke over the next two should outscore any forward in the game. Fruit Plug says, my plan was to sell Foden for Son, but now that KDB keeps having minimal minutes, I might get rid of him instead. Yes, this is the dilemma though. Both Foden and KDB will likely start against Man United. I think Foden is still more likely. If I had to pick one to sell, it would be Kevin De Bruyne. But as I mentioned earlier in the stream, I think he could do really well against the Red Devils. But Heung-min Son is definitely worth the transfer. And up until Game Week 29, even possibly 30, he definitely pays off that transfer. Start Palmer or Hwang. My current preference is with Palmer, but I actually put out a poll earlier which talked about these assets and Gordon. I've already been asked questions about these three players and who to bench and stuff like that. And the question I put was, who to sell? Let me just show you right now. It's got over 1,000 votes and 42% of you have said sell Hwang. Then you've got 37% saying sell Gordon and 21% selling Palmer. But wait for the FA Cup results, because if you are looking to possibly navigate Blank Gameweek 29 without the free hit, that could change things in terms of who to sell. Maybe not in terms of who to bench, of course, if you keep all three of them. But my current preference is to start Palmer and Gordon over Hwang Hee-chan. Having said that, I think Hwang could still do really well against Newcastle based on how the game could be played. Newcastle have the worst defence of the last 6 game weeks, and they're also quite open. And I think that match between Wolves and Newcastle could be very open-ended and just a bit like a basketball game, and that could really play into Hwang's hands. But let's go into a few other screens, including the FDR. Bournemouth are top. Spurs are now second. You've got Luton Town, Newcastle and Arsenal in the top 5. But bear in mind, Blank Gameweek 29 will definitely impact the rankings quite significantly. So Spurs, I think, will just jump to the top, and then you've got the likes of Arsenal falling down. But of course, you never know. Chelsea could lose to Leeds, and we have Arsenal featuring in Gameweek 29 after all. In terms of those at the bottom of the FDR, we've got Brighton, Man City, Sheffield United, Everton, and Crystal Palace, who got a massive 3-0 win under their new manager, Oliver Glasner. In terms of predicted points, Haaland is top with 8.7. Son, Salah, Tony in the top 4. We've also got De Bruyne, Richarlison, Saka, Watkins, Jackson, and Maddison all in the top 10. To be honest, I think Saka should be a bit higher, but you never know. Arsenal could struggle against Sheffield United. They sometimes do bug out, as they say. But yeah, I think quite an interesting list. I do agree with it generally. If Salah is fit, he's firmly in the top 3. But the problem, of course, is in Game Week 28 and in 29. In terms of price changes, Salah is projected to go up tonight. He didn't even feature in the Carabao Cup final today. Morris, Saka and Solanke also projected to go up, and that's a bit frustrating considering I sold Solanke just 1 or 2 weeks ago heading into Double Gameweek 25. De Bruyne, Alvarez, Adebayo all set to go down in price tonight, and there are further price changes that are going to happen this week, especially once the FA Cup results have finished and we do have a clearer picture of Blank Gameweek 29. Draft are now recommending a defender transfer, Pedro Porro to Gabriel, and to be honest, I think if I don't go for the Son move I talked about in recent videos and streams, I might sell a Stupinian and just go to Gabriel and double up on the Arsenal defence and really target it from that perspective. But the plan for me is to bring in Son, also Solanke back in for Game Week 28. I might even buy him this week for Tony, but if not, I think Haaland to Solanke in Game Week 28 could be my best bet. And then going forwards, Gabriel is still an option for me, and I think Arsenal are the only team worth doubling up on defensively. In terms of the highest captained players in the top 100k, Haaland is top with 90%. Then you've got Watkins, Saka, Hwang Hee-chan and Neto in the top 5. So not that much in terms of Wolves assets being captained, but Hwang Hee-chan was the most transferred in player this week, and he did flop with a 3-pointer. And this is how my team could look in Game Week 27 with, well, no, this is my Game Week 29 team, but it looks pretty awful right now, actually, and that's why I am considering using the free hit. In Game Week 27, it could be Ariel in goal, a back three of Saliba, Ake, and Pedro Porro, Saka, Foden, Gordon, and Son coming in, potentially for Hwang Hee-chan, but it could be for Palmer and Gordon. That's something I haven't decided on yet, and I probably won't until the FA Cup results. Tony, Haaland, Watkins up front, but this week is actually quite interesting. I could make a move in the back line, in the midfield, in the forward line, or I could just roll and take a hit or two in Double Gameweek 28. So a lot could happen. Be sure to check out my team selection video and things will become much clearer by then. But let's go back to my team where I did score 50 points. I am a bit frustrated about not going for Bailey or Douglas Luiz, who I talked about in the last couple of weeks, but Hwang Hee-chan and Pedro Neto were very appealing with this fixture in mind, but it just didn't turn out the way that we expected. I actually predicted a 2-0 win for Wolves, and I thought Hwang Hee-chan would score, but didn't get that right in the end. And Wolves really struggled in that match for a large portion of the game. Keep KDB or replace him with Luiz or Song. I'm not a big fan of Luiz against Luton Town away. The main reason why is because his away record is shocking. I think he's only got 2 returns in away games, but his record at Villa Park is sensational. And I think in Game Week 28 against Tottenham, ironically, it might be a better option for that game week compared to Game Week 27 or 29. I'd keep KDB for one more week and then sell him in 28, potentially for Douglas Luiz if you're looking to navigate 29 without the free hit. But it also depends on your team structure and what you're looking to do. I'd actually rather go to Son if possible. Yeah, you say Son there actually. So yeah, KDB to Son, I don't mind doing it this week. But if not, you can always delay it to Game Week 28 and wait for more information and potentially focus on Double Game Week 28 assets instead, like Solanke. Aurora says bench one of Gordon, Foden, Hwang and Palmer. I'd probably bench Hwang, but as I've mentioned before, the Newcastle fixture could really suit him. I just prefer the others, especially Foden. I think he's the best of the 4 this week. Hi Dylan, will you keep Hwang Hee-chan? I think so for now, but if we get the FA Cup results happen and Wolves are going to blank in 29 and I'm still looking to navigate that without the free hit, and let's say, for example, a Gordon or Palmer are going to feature, in that scenario, I would sell Hwang Hee-chan very easily. So the FA Cup results will determine things. But right now, I think the Son move in the midfield might not even happen for me. Instead, I might focus on my weakness, which is the defensive line, and sell Stupinian to Gabriel. Good evening from Kenya. Thank you very much, Enos. Always a pleasure. Golded says another horrible week, all because of Saka. Luckily still around 60k. We'll be selling Gordon, most likely to Saka, and maybe another hit for Stupinian to Gabriel. I'm all for it. The fixture is there to be targeted. Arsenal on the verge of 7 wins in a row in the Premier League, which would then become the biggest winning streak of any Premier League club this season. But Arsenal are Arsenal. They always have a slip up in them, so I would still be a bit wary going into the future. But over the next 2, they look great, and Saka is the most informed player. He's actually got the most goals of any Premier League player this calendar year. So yeah, he's been in incredible form, and I don't think any of us expected it after he really struggled actually in December. We have to say that, and Arsenal as well, in terms of maybe not creating chances, but just finishing them. They lack that cutting edge, but now they're ruthless. And with Saka, I always said to hold him, but I'm not going to come here and lie and say, yeah, I thought he's going to score 7 goals in 5 or whatever he's done. So it's been an incredible upturn in form. Pieter says, remember people that no matter how bad your game week was, don't make any transfers before the midweek FA Cup matches. That's the best bit of advice I've seen, and I've been talking about this throughout the whole stream. I think don't make any transfers if possible. I mean, either way, you know, you might be priced out of a certain move you really want to make. Just hold off. Information is so important, and it could also impact your chip strategy in Blank Gameweek 29 and whether you use the free hit or not. Do you think West Ham will score tomorrow? Yes. My prediction was 2-1 Brentford. I'll stick to that. If Paqueta starts, I think that's a massive boost, and I think Bowen becomes a much better FPL option in the process. I'm going to free hit in Game Week 29. When should I wildcard after that? I would say Game Week 30 or 31, but it is team dependent. You could also wildcard now in Game Week 27 with all the information and optimize Double Game Week 28, Blank Game Week 29, and also have a good foundation for Game Week 30 and the rest of the season. But for me personally, I'm looking at Game Week 30 or 31. Courage says, sorry Chelsea fans. Oh dear, yeah, I've got a bit of beef going on. Gross for me says, James, yes, he's been incredible recently. I'm still a bit frustrated because I sold him at the wrong time, and for me he's one of the most underrated players in the Premier League. He's a bonus points machine. If you look at whatever point, let's say for example during a game at halftime, Gross is nearly always in and amongst the bonus points. A game could be 0-0 and Gross gets a bonus point. It's incredible. Bench Palmer, Gordon or Gross? I would personally bench, I think I'd bench Gross still. It might sound a bit strange because Gross is the most informed of the 3, but I would bench him. I think his returns will come to an end very soon, and it could be this week, and I think from those 3 players, I'd rather bench Gross. I think Liverpool would win after Chelsea missed chance after chance. Yeah, but once you saw these Liverpool youngsters come on, you think, okay, Chelsea, just take advantage now. This is your best chance of beating Liverpool in at least this season, and they just didn't take it. Chelsea were very underwhelming in the second half and also in extra time in particular. But they had chances, so did Liverpool. We had a lot of disallowed goals. It was a good game despite it only being a 1-0 result. A1 points thanks to Louise and Aït-Nouri. Good stuff. And yeah, Aït-Nouri I think was a game changer, a massive differential. And to be fair, even Douglas Louise, his effective ownership must have been very low. So well played. Best wildcard in 27. I'll cover this in an upcoming video, potentially on Tuesday. And I might even make an updated version or just wait until the FA Cup results and then release a wildcard video because the results there are so important for Blank Gameweek 29. I have Bruno from Gameweek 1. Should I sell him? Bruno Fernandes, yeah. Look, against Fulham, he got a return. He loves playing against them, but his attacking contributions this season have been very subpar, and I think he's a sell. And I've said this many months ago, actually. Bench Wang Hee-chan or Richarlison for Gameweek 27. No worries, Raman. It's a close one. And I still think Wang Hee-chan can do well in the next couple of weeks. I'm not going to change my mind on that, but I would rather bench Wang Hee-chan compared to Richarlison. I think if Crystal Palace play offensively, as Oliver Glasner seems to want to do, if they do that against Spurs, it could be a really high-scoring game, and Richarlison is going to get chances there. So I'd favour Richarlison a little bit more and bench Wang Hee-chan at the moment. Palmer to Son or Roll? Tricky one. I do like Palmer for 27 and 28, but I think Son is even better, and he helps you cover Blank Gameweek 29. So I think I would do it, but Palmer is still a good option. Sell Stupinian or Walker? I'd rather sell Stupinian because he's not starting games, period. Brighton's fixtures turn for the worse from Gameweek 29 onwards. They're likely to blank there anyway, same with Man City, but yeah, I'd rather keep Walker, who was benched, of course, as well, but with a Stupinian, it's becoming a really big problem. You could argue that both of them are quite similar, actually, in that regard, but I'd rather sell Stupinian. Good to see you, Cruz. Hey, Dylan, really appreciate this good content you're covering. Keep going. Thank you very much, mate. It means a lot. So I'm glad to hear it and hope to see you in more streams as well. Start Kudus or Huang, says Lungani. I'd go for Huang here. It's a close call. I'd go for Huang. If Paqueta is back by Gameweek 27, which I assume he will be, that would make it even closer, but I'm going to stick with Huang. Dylan, what did you think of the Carabao Cup final today? Well, both teams, I think, played quite well. Both goalkeepers were man of the match. There should have been much more goals. Van Dijk as well, in the podium of the best players, and he got that winner. Had that goal disallowed earlier, which was contentious, but so was Chelsea's goal, to be fair. It was still a quite interesting game overall, and Liverpool ultimately did deserve the win, in my opinion, but Chelsea should be very disappointed because, you know, you're facing a Liverpool team without how many key players? At least 7 or 8, and they brought on youngsters in extra time, and they still look quite decent, especially the midfielders. It's just a weird one for Chelsea, but I think Liverpool just about edged it. Bench 1, Gross, Neto, or KDB? Oh, that is extremely tricky. I think I'd bench Neto there, actually, from those 3. Zenzone says, hey Dylan, is now the time to buy Son? Looking to straight swap for Doku, gambled on him over the double and Bournemouth game didn't pay off. Probably going to take a -4 to bring Solanke for Tony as well. Yes, the answer is certainly yes. Doku might get a surprise start against Man United or Liverpool, but I still think Son is a far superior asset. I'll do it. Even if it means a -4 to bring in Solanke for Tony, I'd still 100% recommend it. Kelton says start Gusto, Estupinian or Dean. I wouldn't start Dean against Luton. He might not even start the game, but I also think Villa will concede. Out of those players, I mean, this is the problem, though. I mean, Estupinian will even start the game, probably not. Gusto, away to Brentford, not the easiest of games. So, yeah, tricky one. I think I'd go for Estupinian, but I'm not that confident he starts. I have 2 free transfers, Don Son for KDB and Senesi for Walker. Yeah, good stuff. I think KDB could do really well against Man United, to be honest, but he's a sell either way, whether now in Gameweek 27 or in Gameweek 28, but ultimately his minutes are a big concern, and Son is an upgrade overall, so good transfers. Michael says, hi Dylan, would you sell Foden or Richarlison to Son? And if I roll, bench Foden or Hwang. So I don't want to sit on the fence. For me, Foden is a better asset than Richarlison, but if you aren't free hitting in Gameweek 29, that's very important. Richarlison has a confirmed fixture, whilst Foden is very unlikely to feature in Blank Gameweek 29. So the answer is if you're not free hitting in 29, then I would sell, well, it kind of goes without saying, I would sell Richarlison. Sorry, no, I'd sell Foden. The other way around, if you are free hitting in 29, I'd keep Foden and sell Richarlison. But there's no denying that in Gameweek 27 and 28, City's fixtures are tough on paper, particularly against Liverpool at Anfield. Hi Dylan, hope all is well. Thank you, Beardy. Likewise to you. I had a crazy good game week. I'm getting close to top 10k now. First green arrow in 3 weeks. I'm glad to hear it. And I'm just trying to think which players you bought in, but I'm guessing you have a Bailey or Douglas Luiz in there, potentially Nate Nuri, but really good stuff. Caicedo deserved the red card. Yeah, I agree. Especially based on what we've seen recently with those sorts of incidents, it should have been a red card. Start Palmer or Bowen. I'd go for Palmer, but that's a close call, especially if Paqueta is back by then. Estupiñán and Walker, which to sell first and to who? I'd rather sell Estupiñán. Who to sell to? Another Arsenal defender if you can. So Gabriel or Saliba. If you have them already or you've got a triple up, whatever it may be, you want to go elsewhere, then I would maybe recommend a Region to cover Blank Gameweek 29. But it's all team dependent and whether you're looking to use the free hit then or not. On 62 points with 3 players left, yeah, that's a really good score. You're guaranteed a green arrow and potentially 70 plus points, which is pretty good this week. Haaland has been struggling recently. Maybe look away for captaincy this week. Yeah, but you know how it is. Form comes and goes. Saka, not so long ago, was looking like a poor FPL asset. He got that blank against Crystal Palace as well when he was the most popular option. And yeah, we all know what happened there. But after that, something just switched. Arsenal really went up another gear. Of course, they won 5-0 that game against Palace. Saka got an official assist, not counted in FPL. But after that, Saka's been on a great run. His best ever in the Premier League, scoring in 5 consecutive games. And I think Haaland against Man United is a great game for him. And he's getting chances. He's just missing them. That's obviously it. And of course, Saka is the one who's in better form. But I just think that Man United game is still really appealing. I'm not saying you should definitely captain Haaland, but I'm also not going to discard him immediately yet. I know what you're saying. I think from Gameweek 28 onwards, you can make a case for selling Haaland or looking away from the captaincy for sure. I might even sell Haaland to Solanke when Haaland plays Liverpool away. But this week, I think Haaland, Saka would be 2 of the top options for the captaincy, and I don't see many others really rivaling them, at least on paper. Garnacho to Douglas Luiz and Foden to Son for a -4. I'm not entirely sure about that. Don't get me wrong, Douglas Luiz is, of course, a good asset as he proved yesterday. He's on penalties, he's a bonus points machine, he's featuring in 29, but I'm not so sure away to Luton if that's the right time to buy him. And of course, you might have argued that I should have bought him in myself last week, and I did talk about it in the last couple of months as well. But overall, I see what you're doing, but I wouldn't sell Foden at home to Man United this week, and I also wouldn't do Douglas Luiz in for a hit in Gameweek 27. That's my personal take. You might disagree, and I do understand that. Overall, yes, Luiz is a better option than Garnacho, but I'm not so sure if I take a hit for it in 27. Bench Hwang or Gross? I'd probably bench Hwang. Close one, though. 71 with Ariella to go. Really good score. Bournemouth defenders a lot on yellow cards. That is true. I think Senesi is 2 yellow cards away from suspension. Then you've got other important assets from other teams like Gordon, also 2 yellow cards away from suspension. Thank you, RJ77. Hi, great content. Time to get rid of Alvarez and to get Solanke. Yes. I said this in my recent transfer tips. Keep Alvarez for Gameweek 26, and to be fair, I was wrong. He got his first benching of the season. But Solanke blanked anyway, which I talked about. I was convinced he would blank. And now is the best time to buy Solanke if you haven't got him already. I'm probably going to buy him in 28 for Haaland, but I'm keeping my options open. I might even sell Tony, who I just bought in this week. Paqueta will start on the bench. Yeah. So by Gameweek 27, I think he will start games for West Ham there. Best wildcard 27 draft. I'll leave that for a video, a separate one, so I can have more time to think about it and break it down, and also potentially wait for the FA Cup results, because if you kind of just wildcard now and, you know, you kind of leave it there and you don't make changes based on the FA Cup results, you could be in a pickle for Gameweek 29 and free hit regardless. Hey Dylan, Dubravka to Neto for free. Yeah, no problems with that whatsoever. Neto's been quite decent recently. Burnley away this week, a double in 28 with 2 plum home fixtures. So there's not really anything to lose. Dubravka was ill against Arsenal, that's why he didn't feature. But yeah, Newcastle have been shambolic defensively regardless. So yeah, good transfer. Good evening, Dylan. Thanks for your help as always. We appreciate you. Thank you, Elliot, as always. It's great to see you in every stream. Greenia says Palmer, Richarlison, Foden, Solanke, Watkins, Luiz, bench 1. Douglas Luiz. I know what he just did was incredible, but in away matches, I think he's only returned in 2 matches. If the game was at Villa Park, I would definitely start him. But away from home, I'd probably bench Luiz. Bench Hwang Hee-chan or Darwin? I'd bench Hwang Hee-chan. I think if Darwin is fit, he could do really well against Forest. He actually did very well in the reverse fixture earlier this season. Bench Foden, Richarlison or Hwang? My current preference will be to bench Hwang. I think Foden you should definitely start. I know United is tough on paper. It's a Manchester derby, but Foden did really well against them last season and he's in great form, so you don't bench a player like that. Buy Son for Foden. I'm not completely against it. I think Son will outscore Foden over the next 3. There's no denying that. Son obviously features in Blank Gameweek 29. Foden will likely not. But if possible, I'd keep Foden for at least 1 more week. That's my advice. Have 1 free transfer. Who to sell first, Walker or Estupiñán? I've covered this already. I'd rather sell Estupinian first, and the best replacement is an Arsenal defender, so Gabriel or Saliba. Sell Haaland for Solanke as a United fan. Going to watch the game, so more fun without Haaland. I'm not so sure. I mean, I get what you mean, but you know, for example, when Arsenal were really terrible, you know, if Vardy is playing them, I'd captain him and he'd get 15 points. And the way I kind of think about it is you're kind of covering your, you know, let's say, for example, your team lose, but you get points at least to compensate. That's the way I'd kind of think about it. So maybe I'd keep Haaland for this week in your case, so you gain something just in case Man United do let you down. Evercon says on Sony 4 -8 with Ariella to play. Awful overall. Thinking of Estupinian or Ake out or roll. I'd rather sell Estupinian. Ake generally starts most games for Man City in the Premier League. Estupinian is just nowhere near the first starting 11 for Brighton right now, so I'd rather sell him. Of course, rolling isn't a bad option either, but yeah, it just depends. If you've got Ake and 2 other decent defenders, you could just stick with that and roll. But if you are down to 2 defenders, or 3 if you count Estupinian, in that case, I'd sell Estupinian and upgrade your defence. 8 Nuri Maguire, what a buy for me. Fair play. The cheap defenders have been doing the business recently. Branthwaite as well. 65 with Flecken and Tony captain to go. Good stuff, Eddie. Tony, I think, could be really good tomorrow. What happened to Dubravka? He was ill. That's why he didn't start against Arsenal. He wasn't even on the bench. Play Palmer or Chan? I'd play Palmer right now, but Hwang Hee-chan is still a good option against Newcastle, don't get me wrong. Thoughts on Mikalenko? I think with Everton assets, it's kind of difficult because up until April, I think, when they finally have a good run of fixtures, they've just never had a good run throughout most of the season. They've got 1 good game, then 2 or 3 bad ones, and then back to maybe 2 good games, and then vice versa. But yeah, I think Everton defenders are decent, but they wouldn't really be on my radar right now. I think Arsenal defenders are the priority. If you want to bolster your defence, then you're looking at potentially Reguilon or an Aston Villa defender to cover Blank Gameweek 29. So I do think there are better alternatives. Hwang Hee-chan was like a Churchill tank and slow as one today. Disappointing for the best fixture on paper. Yeah, he did have that problem in the warm-up where he had a scare. I think he fell and there were worries that he wouldn't start the game at all. He made 1 really good run to press the ball and, you know, that was a bit encouraging, but he just did nothing in the game. Sell Salah for Son. Now, this is where things get tricky. So if I had Salah, I wouldn't sell him against Forest. Wait for more updates on his injury, but he should be fit for that game, in my opinion. If he is, I'd keep him for 27, potentially sell in 28 or 29. Son is a great option, to be fair, but I'm not sure if I'd sell Salah if I had him. Gameweek 26 deadline video was 2 hours 50. Gameweek 29 is going to be 6 hours. So many issues to work out. Fair enough. I mean, yeah, it's actually at the same time. We've got a later deadline on the Saturday. So in the UK, I think it's a 1:30 p.m. deadline again. But yeah, I think the plan is to stream from 11 a.m. I'll keep you updated, of course, on that. Hwang Hee-chan, very overrated, lazy player and low scoring record prior to this season. Neto, way better option. Neto is a better player, and I said this even in the deadline stream, but I'm going to stick by it. I still think Hwang Hee-chan is the better pick because of the goal threat, potentially being on penalties or at least second in command behind Sarabia, and also playing down the middle. But then you can also counteract that, and with examples like Gordon and Bowen, it's not always a case of playing down the middle. It makes a player better as an FPL asset. Sometimes they're just playing better on the wing, or they're more threatening in general and score more goals. But I still think Hwang Hee-chan is a decent pick. He's got 10 goals for the season after all, and more than 100 FPL points. He's also less injury prone than Pedro Neto. That's another thing. But I do understand your sentiment, and Hwang Hee-chan was very frustrating today. Best players in 27 and 28, L3 and 29. I'd probably still stick with Son. He's right up there. You could still argue Salah, despite facing Man City in Gameweek 28. I still think he's one of the best. Saka goes without saying right now. Then I'd also look at Solanke. For me, he's the #1 pick over the next 2 game weeks. So those 4 spring to mind. I'd also include Arsenal defenders like Gabriel and Saliba. Any guesses why Estupinian isn't starting? I saw some comments by the Zerbi that said that he's not happy with Estupinian this season and that he's expecting a lot more from him. So it seems like he has high standards for the Ecuadorian, but he's not managing to fulfill them. I think he invited him over to his house and they had like, I don't know what it was, trying out Italian food, and people were like, oh, he's going to start now. But no, it wasn't the case. The thing is with Estupinian, I think he has made some mistakes and sometimes he's very suspect defensively. For example, the goal against Tottenham, I think the winner that Brennan Johnson scored, Estupinian was very poor for that goal. The game management was absolutely awful on his part. But look, it's not one specific reason. I think it's maybe trying to provoke a reaction from the player. Gross or Hwang Hee-chan in Gameweek 27. My current Inclination would be gross. He's by far the more in form. He's also a bonus points machine. Currently on penalties as well, and that's a definite. With Hwang Yi-chan, he might be second in command. But look, Hwang Yi-chan is still a good option for Game Week 27 and 28. Don't discount him completely yet, but of course today he was awful. 56 with no players left. Branthwaite as first sub and have Estupinian play like last 20 minutes. Yeah, Estupinian's been useless since the Luton game, which is a shame because before that, he got 6 points, 6 and 8 against Wolves, which was the first time I had him since the beginning of the season. But yeah, look, 56 is a decent score. It might be enough for a green arrow for you. I hope that's the case. Play Palmer or Gordon. My current preference would be to play Gordon, but it's a very close call. And with Palmer, he's still one of the best FPL options, period. I have 8 Nuri. Bodro, if fit, I can play. Yeah, obviously really good. I think with Bodro against Palace at home, I do think Spurs concede, but the attacking potential is still there. And let's see if he is fit for that. As for Nuri away to Newcastle, he might get an attacking return, but I don't think Wolves keep a clean sheet there. 34 points for me. Tony, Region, and Ariella to go from 9,000 to 27,000. Still a great rank though, Twisted Parky, so don't be too disheartened by it. Yeah, they're obviously, you're going to have some bad weeks and obviously some great ones. And yeah, it's a low score so far, but those 3 players could still change it for you, especially Tony with that high ceiling. Maddison or Son or both? Son. Maddison is a good option, but he's more injury prone and he's not on penalties like Son is. And of course, you can make pros and cons for both players. Maddison is on other set pieces and he's got more assists for it, but I just think Son is more reliable and consistent. What's the situation with Bodro? Is he now a sell? Need him? No update since what Ange Postecoglou said 9 days ago, I think it was, on the 16th of February. So all he said was that Pedro Porro will be out for a couple of weeks. And the way he said things, it was interpreted by some journalists that he could be out for the Palace game as well. Porro himself did reply to someone saying, don't sell me on FPL. But of course, it's you can't really take that too literally and at face value. But I think Porro could be available for Game Week 27. Wait for more updates, but there's still a chance there. Is he a sell? I don't think so, especially if you are looking to navigate 29 without the free hit. But yeah, if you are free hitting there, I don't think Bodro is that essential. You could still sell him. If you can do Bodro to an Arsenal defender, I think that's an upgrade. I'm not going to lie to you, but you also have to counteract the chip strategy and what you're going to do in Game Week 29, which is so important right now. Big up Dylan on 62 points with Ariel and Emerson to play. I thought Gabriel got the goal against Newcastle. What a bummer. Yeah, but not like the Palace game a couple of weeks ago where Gabriel clearly got the goal and FPL and Optastats all got it wrong. You know, this was quite clear. Botman did have the last touch. You know, Gabriel's effort wasn't going on goal. Carrier saved it. It was a really good effort there, a good save. But yeah, no complaints there. I think with your points, though, really good score. And you should get something ultimately, unless Brentford absolutely destroy West Ham. But I don't think that will be the case. 62 points with 3 players to go. Really good scores I'm seeing here. Max Power says 6 straight green arrows. Give me some of those green arrows, I'd say. Rolling this week to go big on Luton and Bournemouth assets, then free at 29. Solid plan. I like it. Of course, remember, it is Luton and Bournemouth. They're still quite unreliable, but I think it's absolutely worth it. And, you know, Doughty, Adebayo, if he's back, also Barkley, they'd be the best options for Luton, even Kaminsky in goal. For Bournemouth, I think Senesi, Neto, and I'd say Solanke. I'm not really that interested in the other attackers. But yeah, I think 2 or 3 from those 2 teams is absolutely fine. I thought Sarabi on pens because Hwang Yi-chan is away. If I had known that, my 50-50 choice would have been Douglas Luiz. A Wolves player without pens, not worth having. Yeah, you might be right. The one time Hwang Yi-chan took the penalty, it was when Sarabia wasn't on the pitch. But yeah, with Luiz, look, he's on penalties. Most of his returns have come from penalties, but he didn't even score one yesterday. He scored a brace from open play. It was in the first half. It's a good thing he didn't score a hat-trick, otherwise it would have been even worse. Is Solanke a must for Game Week 27, or is Haaland better? I think Haaland's better in 27, but I do think Solanke in 28, you know, buying Solanke for Haaland in 28 is probably the best move for you. Karius lived up to his name. To be honest, look, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I think he's only at fault for the 4th goal where he made a meal of it. But I think for the others, he did his job. You know, for the first goal, he made a good save, and then it was very unlucky for Botman to tap it in his own net with his knee. I don't think Karius was that bad, and Newcastle just let in so many chances and got dominated in all areas of the pitch. I think Hwang Yi-chan slowly became... he was slow because he was injured before the game. Maybe. That's a possibility. He didn't want to aggravate anything. That is true. 71, -4. 3 players to go. Region, Bowen, and Tony. Bouncing back after poor double game week. Good stuff, and that's what I mean. You can have a great double game week, then a poor blank, or vice versa, but I do wish you the best for the rest of the season. Bring in Gross for either Palmer, Chan, or Foden. Might be a rough take or an unpopular one, but I wouldn't bring in Gross right now. I know he's been great. The next 2 fixtures still look good, but he's probably going to blank in 29. Of course, wait for the FA Cup results before making transfers, but I don't think Gross is one to buy now because the fixtures are turning very soon, and I do think the returns will dry up, personally. So Salah didn't even play, and people buying him, yes, because of his returns against Brentford in Double Gameweek 25, and it's also the fixture against Forest. That's what people are looking at, but then it's Man City and a likely blank in 29. I think the best time to buy him is Gameweek 30. Worth keeping Alvarez. Look, Man United is there to be got at. I think Man City could destroy them, but I do think Solanke, Watkins, Haaland, as you say, and Tony are all better options than Alvarez. But right now, yeah, I think the only striker I'd sell Alvarez for is Solanke. With Tony, you make that move in Gameweek 29, I think, or 28, but even then, Tony faces Arsenal away just before the blank. So is it worth keeping Alvarez? Potentially, but my advice would be to sell him to Solanke. I think that's the best move for you. Amar says, I have midfielders Gross, Saka, Odegaard, Foden, and Hwang Hee-chan. At least you got Gross, that's good. Forward, Haaland, Watkins, and Solanke. Should I save transfer for Gameweek 28? I think so, to be fair. Double Arsenal attack against Sheffield United. Hwang Hee-chan against Newcastle, the worst defence recently. Foden against Man United, I think that's good. Gross is good for the next 2. The front 3 is also the best you can probably assemble right now, at least for Gameweek 27. So, yeah, I think you could save the transfer. Just depends on your defence. If you've got Estupinian and you've got some poor defenders, you could bolster that position. Yeah, I think Arsenal, they really should have kept the clean sheet, but, you know, Newcastle have some quality players and their goal was quite good. It was a great header from Willock. I think their XG in general was 0.18, but, you know, football isn't played, you know, behind a calculator, so it is what it is. Is Udogie and Pau Torres fit? Udogie's problem wasn't that serious. Porro's injury was more a concern. So Udogie should be available for Gameweek 27. I mentioned Pau Torres earlier. Unai Emery said that he doesn't think he is injured, but they took him off as a precaution. So they're going to do tests and then we'll find out the extent of the issue. But it's basically Pau Torres feeling something. He completed the first half, but then they subbed him off just in case. Start Stupinian or Solanke. Solanke all day long. There's no debate. Do we sell KDB now? Might be unpopular, but I think I'd keep him for 27 and then sell him 28. I think he could do really well against Man United. Dubravka injured, he's ill. That's why he didn't feature against Arsenal. He wasn't even on the bench, didn't travel with the squad. I had a terrible double and terrible blank. I feel for you, Twisted Parky, but you're still in a great position. I'd rather be in your rank than where I am, of course. But look, there's still a long way to go. Game 27 could be the start of your comeback there. Is Salah likely to play versus Forest? I'd say so, because he was close to reaching or making it for the Carabao Cup final squad. And that's what the Liverpool assistant manager talked about the other day. But yeah, I think he will be in the squad at least. Will he start the game? That's where things get a bit grey. And if you're asking me right now, my prediction is yes. But then again, I said it for today and I got it wrong. I hate how City just killed the game when they're 1 or 2-0 up. Liverpool and Arsenal are much more fun to watch. I mean, look, Arsenal at times have also done that sort of thing. They've controlled games and they also have these games where they don't even score a goal and they lose 1-0, like against Porto, Newcastle, Aston Villa. But in general, especially this year, I agree. Liverpool and Arsenal are by far the more exciting teams to watch. Yeah, I think with Man City, it's just control, you know, possession, slowing things down, game management, tactical fouls, but it also gets the job done. And they're not even playing that well, and they're grinding out these 1-0 wins, keeping clean sheets, and you can't really argue with it. But yeah, I think Arsenal and Liverpool are the better teams in terms of attacking right now and also on the eye. Your thoughts on Villa defenders? Really don't know who is nailed. Well, Pau Torres is the nailed one, but he's getting injury issues and that's concerning. Alex Moreno isn't nailed on, as you saw, subbed off before 60 minutes, constantly subbed off for Luka Dean. And I think that's only going to intensify in the next couple of weeks. Europa Conference League is returning. We've also got a congested fixture schedule for Aston Villa. So I think the most nailed on is probably Pau Torres, but the injuries are a big concern and put off. Is Andy Robertson good move? The Gameweek 27 specifically, yes, but I wouldn't buy him because it's Forest away, which isn't even a guaranteed clean sheet. Then it's Man City at home, where I think City will score, and a likely blank in 29, then Brighton in Game Week 30. So my answer would be no. Come on, guys, smash the likes and subscribe button. Stream to 100 likes. Appreciation for Dylan's advice. Thank you, Punjabi, as always. Massively appreciated. I wonder when Salah's fit to play. I'd say Game Week 27, but even if he isn't, he's definitely going to play against Man City. I'm 100% convinced about that. Will Salah even play versus Southampton? Maybe not. He might be on the bench, get a few minutes under his belt if he is available by then. If he isn't, that's a massive concern for those that still have Salah, of course. So in that regard, for those asking, should I sell Salah to Son? Of course, if he's a major doubt for the weekend, then yes. But otherwise, I'd keep Salah for 27, then maybe sell him in 28 or 29. 8 Nuri for attacking returns or Powell for clean sheet? To be honest, I don't think Aston Villa keep a clean sheet against Luton. And I don't think 8 Nuri does anything against Newcastle. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was 8 Nuri's first attacking return this season that he got today. I'd probably rather go for Pau Torres and just hope for the clean sheet, but I wouldn't expect anything from either player, to be honest. As I say before, save my 2 free transfers for Game Week 28. Says Amar, my defense right now is Gabriel, Senesi, Nuri, Doughty, and Powell. You're pretty well set up for Double Gameweek 28 and Blank Gameweek 29, to be fair. Should I take another defender or save it for Game Week 28? So this week you could play Gabriel, Senesi, and probably Pau Torres. Yeah, I think I'd roll in that scenario, because what could you really do? Maybe buy Saliba and double up on the Arsenal defence, but then who do you sell? Maybe 8 Nuri, but you probably want to keep him after what you did for you today. I think 8 Nuri to Saliba would be worthwhile if you have the funds for it, but to be honest, I think in your situation it's worth rolling. Gordon to Son with a -4 hit. If you're not free hitting in 29, I think it's 100% worth it, because Son also covers that blank. He's a great option for the next 4 game weeks. He's got Luton at home in Game Week 30. So yeah. Do we stop captaining Haaland now? My opinion is not this week. Against Man United, he's one of the very best options. He scored a hat-trick in this fixture last season. Do I think he's going to do it this time? No, but I think a brace is definitely possible. So I'd say this is the last week to captain Haaland for a little while. So in Game Week 28 against Liverpool, I wouldn't captain him. Game Week 29, he'll probably not feature. Even if he did, I'd maybe look elsewhere. To be honest, I probably would anyway. So I think the time to stop captaining Haaland is Game Week 28. This is the first time this season 8 Nuri gets an attack return. Yeah, exactly that, Tronix. Thank you for confirming. That's why, 8 Nuri generally is quite threatening for a defender, but hasn't got that much this season in terms of attacking returns. Can Chambers be a 3.8 million punt? If Pau Torres is out, yes, that's a great suggestion you make there. But it all depends on Pau Torres, and I still think Chambers is pretty much 3rd, 4th, 5th choice centre-back. But Aston Villa have quite a lot of problems at the back. Konsa's also still injured. Diego Carlos, I believe, is another one. Yeah, Diego Carlos is injured. And also Tyrone Mings has been out for the entire season. But a good pick. If Pau Torres is out, Chambers could be really nice value there. Udit says 73 points. Tony and Ariella left to play. Happy I got Inuri. Good stuff. I'm guessing you also have a Bailey or Louise as well, but 73 points with 2 players left. I think you could even get to 80. That looks good. Yeah, but Nuri was very attacking today. Yeah, that is true, and a great delivery for Sarabia's goal as well. That's true. I will definitely sell Stupinian for a Bournemouth defender or Saliba, but a price change ruins this, and Salah or Son for Richarlison or Foden. If I keep any of these, benching Hwang, Richarlison, Reguilon, Walker or Trippier, one of these. I understand that, Twisted Parky, but I still think information is more important. You could still do a Stupinian to Senesi. I'm pretty sure you can do that. You might not be able to go to Saliba, which could be a shame, but yeah, I'd wait for FA Cup results first before making a move. If you are priced out of Saliba, just go for Senesi, and that kind of makes your transfer for you. De Bruyne to Son, overall, I think it's a good transfer. I would definitely do it at some stage, but I'm just questioning the timing because De Bruyne at home to Man United, I think he starts, and that of course depends on his fitness. If he is fit, I think he starts that game and does really well, and that's why you could maybe wait another week, but I understand why you want to do it now. And ultimately, if I had to pick one player for the next 4 game weeks, Son wins all day long. Start Hwang or Bowen? My current preference would be Hwang, but Paqueta could be back and starting games by Game Week 27. He's probably going to be on the bench on Monday, tomorrow, so that could make it closer, but I'd rather go for Hwang Yi-chan right now. 8 Nero was in the box a lot today and picked up really dangerous positions, but still not sure. Exactly, but it's one game, and remember, it's Sheffield United, so Wolves are going to play differently compared to... So just let's put it this way. Wolves today against Sheffield United are going to be much more offensive, dominating the ball, and also expected to break down the low block. Against Newcastle, I think that's going to be a high-intensity game, up and down, and it's also going to be really open-ended, and both sides are going to have chances. And in that sort of game, maybe Aït-Nouri could get some chance creation, but I don't think he'll get as many touches in the box as he did today. But of course, that's only a prediction. I get many of them wrong, and it's all down to interpretation. I still think Aït-Nouri is a decent buy for the next couple, but they're likely to blank in 29. I don't think they keep a clean sheet against Newcastle, and in Gameweek 28, that could be decent for him, but I don't think he's that good of an FPL option in the grand scheme of things. I have the same front three as you, Dylan. Don't know who to sell to bring in Solanke. Yeah, honestly, looking back on it, I just should have kept Solanke, and I've actually been punished by going for these kind of one Gameweek punts. Buying Darwin Núñez in 25 for Solanke massively backfired. I lost out on 11 points from that transfer, and it also meant taking another hit this week. So unless Tony scores a brace, those hits really haven't paid off at all. I think the play for you, Linus, is to buy Solanke for Haaland in Gameweek 28. But if you want to do it now, you sell Tony, I think. That's the way to go. Don't sell Watkins at all, especially if you're looking to cover Blank Gameweek 29. And of course, Tony also features then, and you'd want to have him back by that stage. But yeah, I think the way to go there, Linus, is this week, if you want Solanke, sell Tony. And if you can afford to wait another week, I would sell Haaland in 28. Aït-Nouri has been playing more like a wing-back now, so more assists will come, I think. Potentially, you might be right. I just don't think he's suddenly an amazing FPL option. I think he's decent, good value for money, but I still think there are better options elsewhere, like the Arsenal defenders, also Region, because of the blanks that he helps to cover, such as 29. Of course, that could change with the FA Cup results. White or Saliba? Saliba, but not much to separate them in general. Chelsea is finished. Back to that. Says, my team is Dubravka, Gabriel, Power, Stupinian, Saka, Foden, Bailey, Hwang, Watkins, Haaland and Solanke. Thinking about doing a Stupinian to Senesi? Yes, the alternative would be another Arsenal defender. So in your case, it would be Saliba. But yeah, Saliba or Senesi, absolutely fine. You could even consider Doughty. So you could wait for, well, in my opinion, you should wait for the FA Cup results. If Doughty is going to feature in Gameweek 29 as well, and you don't want a free hit in Blank Gameweek 29, you could even buy Doughty. Might not be great this week, but he's good for Gameweek 28 and 29. I have Saka, Foden, Gordon, Palmer, Douglas Luiz. I want to buy Son. Who should I sell? I don't want to sit on the fence with these questions, but it's really important to also take into account Blank Gameweek 29 and your chip strategy. So are you free hitting that week? If that's the case, then I'd actually be tempted to sell Douglas Luiz, which sounds crazy because of what he just did, but I'd rather sell Douglas Luiz. If you are looking to navigate 29 without the free hit, definitely keep Luiz. He's a good option in general because of that. And instead, I'd probably look at selling Palmer or Gordon. Areola or Neto for Gameweek 27. Gameweek 27, interesting. Neto. Only worry with Senesi is so many yellow cards. On 8 now, could easily get banned for one of the doubles. True. Would you get anyone else from Bournemouth defence? That's a good question. I mean, to be honest, Senesi for me is the best because of his goal threat. I think he had a couple of double-digit returns on the spin earlier in the season. Tricky one. For me, the best ways of covering Bournemouth defensively are either Neto or Senesi. The alternative... I'm not really a big fan, to be honest, of the alternatives. I'm looking at the list right now. Yeah, I mean, you probably look at Zabani, Smith. I mean, I just don't like the list as much. And generally, even with Senesi, he's not a great FPL option, is he? But there is a big difference between him and the rest because of bonus points and attacking potential. If I had to pick another one, it's probably Zabani. It's probably him, but I'm not going to lie to you. For me, if it's not Neto or Senesi, I just wouldn't go for the Bournemouth defence. I know you want to target the fixtures, that makes sense, but I would be very apprehensive about that. Thank you to those that have been tuning in. Be sure to smash the like button and get the stream to over 100 likes. It costs nothing and it's massively appreciated. Thank you, Linus, for the super chat. Massively appreciate there. Appreciate all the help, Dylan. Thanks, bro. Thank you. And I think you got the memberships yesterday, right? YouTube randomly allocated them, of course. So I clicked the button and I'm happy to hear that you got it. Thank you very much for the super chat. Very kind of you. And I wish you the best for the rest of the season. Beardy says, what's your goal? Well, top 10k would be amazing, but it's looking very slim, to be quite honest with you. I'm very far away from that rank. I think top 100k would be quite good. It's very difficult to get to nowadays, and based on how the season has gone, a lot of 50-50 calls have gone the other way. I've made some bad calls myself as well at times, a lot of injuries. Yeah, I think right now top 100k is the goal, and if I don't get to that, I'd be slightly disappointed, but let's see how it all pans out. Love watching Todd Bowley FC fail. Yeah, just the park, you really hate Chelsea. That's quite clear. Maybe just me, but I think it's likely that Wolves play in 29. Yeah, true. Leicester are top of the championship. They could beat Bournemouth, but it's also about Wolves. They have to lose as well. That's the problem. So, yeah, you need two results to happen. You need Leicester to beat Bournemouth, and you also need Wolves to lose to Brighton. I mean, it's possible, but you need two results to happen, and that's why the chances are still quite unlikely overall. But let's wait and see. You might be right. Who should I bench, Bruno or Garnacho or Hwang? And should I sell Stupinian for Bradley? I'd bench Bruno. I don't think he gets anything against Man City at the Etihad. Man United's recent record there is very poor. Yeah, to be fair, Garnacho as well, but maybe on the counter he could nick something. And look, Bruno on penalties could definitely, get a jammy return, but yeah, I'd probably bench Bruno. As for should I sell Stupinian for Bradley? I wouldn't get Bradley. Similar to my reasons for Salah and all these other Liverpool options, Forest looks decent in 27, but not even a guaranteed clean sheet there for me. Then in Game Week 28, it's Man City, and in 29, a very likely blank. So in my opinion, I'd rather sell Stupinian to another Arsenal defender, or maybe a Senesi/Doughty. That would be my advice. So you're captaining Haaland in 27? He's currently my captain, but I am open to captaining Saka, and it's taken a long time for me to finally do that. And it might be too late because Saka's run might have ended by then. But yeah, my top two options for me are Haaland and Saka. And I'm currently going for Haaland. I just think that Man United fixture is great. And maybe I'm being a bit too stubborn because Haaland missed 3 big chances against Bournemouth. He missed 3 big chances against Chelsea. His XG has been incredible recently, but he's not finishing the chances. Who do you bench between Reguilon and Doughty? I would bench Doughty. Yeah. Not gonna lie, I'm really liking the no Haaland potential, so much upside. Yeah, I'm probably going to sell him at some stage. If I do, it'll be in Game Week 28. And I might wildcard him back in Game Week 30, 31 regardless. But yeah, my best period of the season came when I didn't have Haaland, so it's something to consider for sure. Hey Dylan, who should I bench? Says Aaron Vanham. Rodri, Garnacho or Doughty for Game Week 28? Thanks. I'd probably bench Doughty there. It's tricky because all three of them have a low ceiling this week. I'm not going to lie to you. But Rodri against Man United, an attack and return wouldn't surprise me. I think Garnacho is probably one of the biggest outlets United have in that game. And I don't think Doughty keeps a clean sheet against Villa, and you're probably relying on an attack and return there. RIP to those who captain KDB. Yeah, it's unlucky, to be honest. He was included in my best free hit team, but then it looked like he was not going to start, and I talked about this in the deadline stream and rectified it, but yeah, it's a shame. And instead it was Foden who came up with the goods. Saka versus Sheffield is beautiful. Has to be captain. Yeah, true, but look, I'm not even trying to be disrespectful about Man United, but I genuinely believe that City could destroy them. 3-4-1, 3-4-0. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I think it's a good debate for sure, and I might just go for Saka and target the upside. The way Arsenal are going this year in the Premier League, they're scoring goals for fun. It could be another 5-6-0 against Sheffield United. It certainly could be, but I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit pessimistic as an Arsenal fan over the years, being let down by them. I'm not so sure. There's something in me that I'm fearful of the next blip they're going to have, and it could lead to 2-3 losses in a row or 1 win in 5. They have that in them under Arteta. Senesi or Doughty for Estupinian, Emerson -4. Solanke coming in for Alvarez. Yeah, good transfers. Senesi for me is the best option over the next 2 game weeks. So I'd say him. The good thing about Doughty is he's more likely to feature in 29. So if we get the FA Cup results in midweek and we see Doughty featuring in 29 and Senesi won't, and you're also looking to not free hit in 29, then in that case I go for Doughty. But in any other scenario, I think Senesi is more likely to get clean sheets in 27 and 28. Newcastle, the whole defence have become so leggy. That's true. Looks absolutely worn out. They went all out in the cups and got burnt badly. They have been very unlucky with injuries as well. And you could say that about United and Chelsea too. But yeah, you're right. Newcastle in general, Botman was making mistake after mistake, scored the own goal. As you say, I think you summed it up perfectly. Leggy is probably a really good way of describing them. Betting against Haaland at home. To be fair though, Twister Parky, I mean, he blanked against Chelsea, got an 8 points against Brentford. Yeah, he scored a brace against Everton. It's good returns, but I just think he has been underwhelming. And he's currently my captain, but look, you can't really think about it that way in terms of, going against Haaland because he has been missing a lot of chances as well. I think Saka could definitely rival him and outscore him. It's going to be very close. I'm currently going for Haaland, but that may change, to be honest, in future videos. No worries, Aaron. Good to see you. Thank you very much for your questions and comments. Senesi all day. Doughty is overhyped. To be fair, though, Doughty had that great run between Game Week 15 to 22. But yeah, Senesi, I think over the next two, you're right. He's probably the call. Goldhead worth a hit, Burnley away, or should I wait one more week? I'd probably wait one more week, Sefe. I know you asked Goldhead, but that'd be my take. I still think Burnley could score against Bournemouth. Should I sell Odegaard and Foden for Salah and Palmer for 28? Which I plan to free in 29, and in Game Week 30, Chelsea versus Burnley and Liverpool versus Brighton. I'm not so sure about that because, yeah, I have no problems with selling Foden to get Salah. I mean, overall, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing in 28. Yeah, I think for Game Week 28, that's fine. Of course, Salah and Foden are facing each other, which I plan to free in 29. Game Week 30, Chelsea versus Burnley and Liverpool versus Brighton. Yeah, that's a good plan. You thought it through pretty well. I'd say overall, yes. I was kind of skeptical at first when I read it, but I think overall you do make some good points. I'm considering Havertz for the next week. Was that too knee-jerky? I currently only have Saka and Gabriel. I'd still rather go for a second Arsenal defender. So Saliba, Ben White. If Raya actually could feature in Game Week 28, he would have been one of the best goalkeepers to buy, but I would avoid him for now. But yeah, with Havertz, look, he was really good against Newcastle, probably his best game in an Arsenal shirt. And he does a lot of things for Arsenal, even when he doesn't play particularly well or offers much offensively. But from an FPL perspective, I still think there are far more consistent options. Odegaard, for example, has a higher ceiling. And yes, he can be very frustrating at times because he can have a great game and not get an attack in return. But with Havertz, I don't trust him in front of goal. You saw him miss that big chance against Newcastle. And he's not always going to play up front like he did yesterday. So I know while you're doing that, I do encourage people to be different and to go for their own picks, but I'd personally go for two Arsenal defenders instead. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's too knee-jerky because Havertz has been quite, he's shown a bit of potential in recent games, but yeah, I'd rather go for the two defenders. Tony Captain versus Chelsea. Maybe. I might even sell him to Solanke if I decide to buy Solanke this week, but I'm going to keep my options open. I'll probably stick to the plan and buy Solanke back for Erling Haaland this time in 28. Cheers, Sophia. Harry Derbyshire says 64 with Tony, Region and Ariela to play. Some great scores in the chat. That's good to hear because I'm a bit underwhelmed by my own score. I'm a bit gutted that I didn't go for Douglas Luiz instead of Hwang Hee-chan, but it is what it is. We live and learn. Maybe I don't, but yeah, we live and learn. Guys are not ready for Son Hall next week. Well, my plan was to bring him in 27 for either Gordon, Hwang or Palmer. If I end up sticking with it, then it could mean I have a weak defensive line, but yeah, 27 is full of possibilities. I could roll, make a forward transfer, midfield transfer, buy a defender. Who knows? Amma, thank you very much. Thank you, Dylan. Appreciate your support and help. Likewise, I appreciate you tuning in. Son versus Palace as a captain is worth a consideration, or even if Salah seems good. Too many impossible captains. Yeah, true. Salah against Forest, Saka against Sheffield United, Haaland against Man United, Foden against Man United. Yeah, you're right. There's actually a good list. Even Watkins, but I think he'd be lower down this week. And actually, I think if I break it down, I said my top 6 captains for 26 were Haaland first. I didn't get that right. I said Saka second, Watkins third. So that was a decent ranking. I think in fourth, who did I put? I think I put Foden fourth. I said Foden or De Bruyne, whoever starts, I'd put them in fourth. So that was actually quite good. But then I got fifth and sixth quite poor. I think I put Hwang Hee-chan sixth and he was awful today. He offered nothing, absolutely nothing. When is Tony playing? Tomorrow against West Ham. So 8 p.m, I think, UK time. It might be 7:30. I'll have to double check that. But yeah, my prediction is 2-1 there for Brentford. Let me just get that up. They are playing at, 8 o'clock. I was right. I just wanted to double check that. So 8 o'clock UK time tomorrow. West Ham versus Brentford to complete Blank Gameweek 26. Also, of course, if anyone is watching and you're maybe looking to make a transfer now, do not make a transfer because we've got the FA Cup games on Tuesday and Wednesday. They directly impact the teams that will blank in 29, and that could also impact your chip strategy. Would you get rid of Estupinian or Emerson first? That's a great question. I don't trust any of them at the moment, to be honest, but based on minutes purely, I'd probably sell Stupinian. Thank you, Rax. Much appreciated. I can't even speak. Thanks for the Dylan sticker. No worries, Twister Parky. Obviously, it's good to see that you got the channel memberships again. Troma Kid says, considering Joao Pedro to Solanke and Jota to Salah before the prices tonight, 0.3 million in the bank if I go tonight. I understand that. I understand, but I still think it's worth waiting for information. And also, Troma Kid, if you're looking to free hit in 29, then fair enough. Salah's absolutely fine to buy now. But if you're looking to navigate that without the free hit, it's worth mentioning, and you might want to delay that Salah move until Game Week 30 and instead focus on another midfielder like Son instead, who can easily outscore Salah over the next 3 game weeks. So, I don't know. Great transfers. Joao Pedro to Solanke. I mean, to be fair, that transfer makes sense. You know, I'd do it. There's not really anything to lose. It's going to make up for it in 27 and 28. But Jota to Salah, I'd maybe reconsider that because you might want to go for another midfielder by Wednesday. Is Foden going to keep going forward? Another great question. I think he's a sell in Game Week 28 for those that are looking to not free hit in 29. I keep on referring to this because it does impact your transfer plans and chip strategies in general. So, yeah, if you are free hitting in 29, I think Foden is a long-term keep for now, and him and Haaland are the best City assets to own. But if you aren't free hitting in 29 and you want to have as many players as possible of a high quality, then Foden to Son this week or in 28 is the way to go. So I think Foden's a keep this week and then a sell in 28. I thought best captains this week, Haaland, Chan, Foden, Watkins, Saka. Got that wrong. Well, but to be fair though, Foden, Watkins, Saka, good picks in the top 5. Haaland returned. It was just Wang Yi-chan who was pretty poor. I can't remember who I put 5th. That's what I'm trying to remember, actually. But yeah, I didn't get first or second right. Well, I didn't get first right, let me say that way. Haaland was nowhere near the best captaincy option. I've already used the wild card and I have 8 players in Game Week 29, says Crow TP. Should I free hit or just play with 8 and save free hit for 34, 37? In that sort of scenario, if you've got 8 already in 29, I'd just save the free hit. It's not just about quantity, of course, it's about quality of players. Do you have Tony and Son and most of the key assets that week? If so, I'd easily save the free hit. And you could even get to 9 or 10 players with just a hit or free transfers. Punjabi says, Dylan, I don't think majority of the people have the funds ready to bring Salah back in 27-28. It'll be mayhem in 28. Yeah, true. It's a differential for those looking to go there. And of course, if you have Salah, you don't want to sell him this week, of course, unless he's ruled out. I understand that. And it's about being different and chasing your own strategies and going away from the herd and the crowd. But I personally think the best time to buy Salah for most people will be Game Week 30. But that might be different for someone else. 27 is also a decent alternative. Why is West Ham versus Freiburg game in the Europa Cup at 5:45? When is this though, James? Let me know. But a lot of Europa League games are like that. They'll have them take place earlier in the day. Salah didn't start today and people want to transfer him early. He wasn't even on the bench. He wasn't in the squad. Same with Darwin Nunez. I thought both of them would be available. They were close to making it. So I think that's the main appeal. And of course, the 11 points he got against Brentford off the bench. Elmot says, yes, they are. Freddie Jewison says, who do I play this week? Gabriel, Bradley, Doughty, Senesi, or Alex Moreno? Only 3. Gabriel definitely plays 100%. I'd also play Bradley. I think Trent will still be out. The third defender is probably Senesi. Darwin isn't flagged on FPL. Yeah, he still isn't. He probably will be soon. Maybe after the Jurgen Klopp press conference today. So you could be looking at by tomorrow. But yeah, quite surprising. Sell Gordon to Son. I have no problems with that whatsoever. Especially if you aren't free hitting in 29. It's a great transfer by all accounts. You're getting one of the most consistent options in the game on penalties, playing in one of the most exciting teams offensively in the league with good fixtures. Yeah, there's a lot to like. Gordon could do well against Wolves, and it's an awkward time to sell him, but Gordon away to Chelsea the following week, a likely blank in 29. Then he has good fixtures until 32, but yeah, Son's an upgrade. I have no problems with that. Tony versus Areola, conflict of interest, true. If Areola can get a save point and Tony can get a goal and bonus points, I'd be very happy with that, but yeah, either way, it should be enough for a green arrow for me, but still a bit underwhelming. I was expecting more this week, and yeah, just seeing Bailey and Douglas Luiz get those double-digit returns. Once that happened, I had that feeling that Hwang and Pedro Neto would just do nothing. If I don't free hit in 29, when is the next best time to use it? Double Gameweek 34 or 37. We don't know what games will take place in those game weeks yet, but those two game weeks will definitely be doubles. It's just a matter of which fixtures going to which game week, but I think those two would be the next best times, or actually still the best times to use it if possible. You look at a game week like 29, it's a blank, the ceiling is quite low. If you can get to 8+ players and you've got Son and Tony, I don't think you need to free hit in 29. Twister Parky says, if I get a patron, can it count for next month? Just need to look at the politics and make sure they're not involved with things I don't agree with. So we'll find another way. You don't need to anyway, Twister Parky, don't worry. It's only for those that want to support the channel even further. But yeah, as far as I'm aware, I don't think they have anything dodgy going around like that. In terms of can it count for next month, that is possible. I think there is a setting I can do to facilitate that, so we can DM each other, sorry, and make that work. But yeah, I think there is a way to make that happen. No worries, Tremor Kid. Of course, it's good to have different opinions, but yeah, just going back to your question earlier. Yeah, I'd still rather wait for more information just in case, and you never know. You sometimes get these injuries, like you got with Haaland a couple of days ago, which massively shocked a lot of people. If I sell KDB, who's the best replacement? Son. 100% Son. Of course, Saka goes without saying as well. Saka and Son, easy replacements. Start Burn, Region, or Nuri. Probably Burn looks the best on paper with a fixture, but I'm not going to lie, I'd probably go for Region. Lina says, don't know if you answered this already. Best Bournemouth defender. I still think Senesi, to be honest. Yes, the 8 yellow cards puts you off. If he gets the yellow against Burnley, it could be just a disaster in Double Gameweek 28, you know, if he gets another booking in the first fixture. But yeah, for me, Senesi is well clear of the rest. The alternative is to buy Neto in goal. I think those two have the highest points potential with bonus points in mind. In the case of Senesi, he's got a bit of attacking threat. So I think Senesi in the defence or Neto in goal. And then, of course, Solanke is by far the best option they have to offer, period. Will you free it in 29? I mean, looking at my team now in Game Week 29, I probably will. I mean, I don't want to be honest. I really don't. It's a low-scoring game week, I think. My original plan was to get 8 or 9 players, and that's why it just adds salt to the wounds about Douglas Luiz and Bailey. I should have gone for them. I didn't. That's my mistake. I fully own up to it. I thought Hwang Hee-chan would outscore Douglas Luiz quite considerably this week, and that would make up for it, but I did something similar with Darwin Nunez in for Solanke last week. That didn't pay off. So I've been doing these short-term transfers and they just haven't paid off so far in recent weeks. B-Ball Checkmate says, hey mate, should I go KDB to Son and Gordon to Richarlison -4, or KDB to Son and Van Heck to a doggy -4? I'd rather go for the 2 Spurs attackers. Now, I am expecting Richarlison to go down in terms of his form. He had that purple patch. I think he will slow down a little bit, but if he's playing down the middle still, he's going to get chances. And yes, he might not be on penalties anymore, but yeah, Richarlison is still a much better FPL asset now than he was at this time last year. And I think I'd rather go for him than a doggy for a -4 hit. But then again, I was talking about this heading into Blank Gameweek 26. I'd rather take a hit for Neto and Hwang than an 8 Nuri this week, and that turned out to be wrong. Dylan, when are the FA Cup 5th round games? Tuesday and Wednesday. So that's why wait for as long as possible. By Wednesday night in the UK, you will find out which teams will feature in Blank Gameweek 29, and you can then make your definitive plans. And that's why my current idea is to make a team selection video on the Thursday. Record it then with all the information possible. No worries, Twister Parky. Son for Diaz -4. Yes, now Diaz is in great form, to be fair, and Forest away is a decent fixture, but I think Son justifies the hit, especially if you're not free hitting in 29. Thank you, Twister Parky, once again. Massively appreciated. Hussein says sell Gordon to Son or Hwang Hee-chan to Son. The way I see it, in 27, I'd rather go for Gordon over Hwang Hee-chan. But in Gameweek 28, I think Hwang Hee-chan against Fulham at home is a very good option, in my opinion, at least on paper, whilst Gordon is more benchable. My current feeling is to sell Gordon, but I think what you should wait for is the FA Cup results. And if one of them features in 29 and you can navigate that game without the free hit, sell the player that blanks in 29. And I think that could be the determining factor. But right now, assuming both of them blank in 29, I think I'd rather sell Gordon. Kirkes could be good for Bournemouth. Kelly's having an MRI scan and on a hip problem. Yeah, true. And Kirkes was probably the second best Bournemouth defender before his injury a couple of months ago. So yeah, you could be right. Kirkes could be the next best. Then you're looking at Zabani. But for me, Senesi is still well clear. Bowen or Palmer, bench one, please. I'd probably bench Bowen, but it's close. The thing is, if Cup as predicted, then doubles layer won't be too good, less fixtures, etc. Yeah, that's why the FA Cup results are so important for the doubles layer in the season and Blank Gameweek 29. So let's wait and see how it all pans out. Wait, that does not make sense, but that is what I heard today. No, I mean, look, it's possible. If you get a lot of FA Cup upsets, then yeah, then Blank Gameweek 29 could be very easy to navigate without the free hit, regardless. Linus says, I reckon Haaland will troll us if we go against him next week for captain. United looked terrible yesterday. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. And United have conceded the second most shots in the Premier League. Only Sheffield United have conceded more. Absolutely ridiculous. And to be honest, Man City haven't been that great at the Etihad. I mean, they're getting results. They're unbeaten, but they've picked up a few draws. They're not scoring as much as they are away from home. But yeah, Haaland is still getting chances home and away. And I still think he is one of the best options this week. It's him or Saka for me right now. And of course, Son is a very good option as well. Genius Gamer says, hey, start two. I would go for Palmer. And assuming he's fit, Darwin Nunez. I would put Luiz last. I don't think he returns against Luton. Mainly because it's away from home. And you would need a penalty, I think, for Luiz to score there. And to be honest, people would have said it this week and they were wrong. I just think Luiz is much better at Villa Park, and I don't like him much away from home. I think that's 2 returns for the season, and that's one thing that put me off and why I didn't go for him, but it was a mistake regardless. Foden will haul against Man United, I agree. Thanks for the advice, no worries, Hussein. It's a pleasure. I have Palmer, Bowen, Richarlison, Foden, Watkins, Haaland, Solanke, Saka. Is there a need for Son? If you're not free hitting in 29, I'll come back to that. Then there is a need for Son at some stage, whether it's now or in Gameweek 29. But looking at your squad, I think what you could do is sell Foden to Son in Gameweek 28 when City play Liverpool at Anfield and Son's facing Villa, one of his favourite opponents. And to be honest, Crystal Palace this week, one of his favourite opponents as well. I think he's got 8 goals against them. Against Aston Villa, 6 goals, 1 assist in 8 games. So yeah, Son is still worth buying right now. It's just a matter of Spurs and will this break they've had really help them in the way they did for Arsenal very recently. Mr. Parkio 6 says, looking at captains for this week, Sheffield United and Palace will probably park the bus more than United. I still think United will try to park the bus against City, but will it work out? I don't think so. Yeah, Sheffield United, I think, will play a low block, in my opinion, against Arsenal. That's the only chance. If they attack Arsenal, they're going to get destroyed. So let's wait and see, of course. There are different ways to approach a game and to tackle an opponent. For example, Porto with a mid-block against Arsenal, and they didn't allow them to build up from the midfield into the forward line. But yeah, for me, Sheffield United and United are looking like really good opponents this week to target. They concede the most shots in the Premier League this season, and Haaland and Saka could both get massive returns. I have a feeling Haaland will destroy United. My captain is on him, and I'm not taking it off. Yeah, same here. In terms of the first part of your sentence, I might take it off him and go for Saka, but that's mainly because of his form and facing the worst team in the league, and I think it's the worst defence in Premier League history up until now. Yeah, I think you can go for either one, Saka or Haaland, and you can get something from both of them. All the City players will hit against me. Okay, yeah, maybe. I think Foden and Haaland are the ones with the highest ceiling. Also De Bruyne if he starts, and that's why it could be a hold for one more game week. Utila says, any goalkeepers, defenders to take other than Neto and Senesi? From Bournemouth, as people mentioned rightly earlier, Kirkes and Zabani would be others. Also Kaminski to cover the Luton Town defence, and Doughty, of course. But for me, I'd rather go for Saliba and Gabriel. I think Arsenal defence for the next 2 game weeks looks great. Would you ever consider Havertz? Maybe at one stage as a short-term punt, but not anytime soon, I think. I don't think I'll buy him this season, to be honest. No, I don't think so. I'd rather go for Odegaard to double up on the Arsenal defence, and for me, Saliba, Gabriel and Saka are the 3 best options. If not free hitting, who do you think is the best Spurs triple up? If not free hitting, Son is definitely the best option. I'd then say either Pedro Porro or Udogie, one of them. I wouldn't go for both. My preference is still with Pedro. The third option is probably either Richarlison or Maddison. And assuming he stays fit, I'd rather go for Maddison. So my three would be Borro, Maddison, and Son, with the South Korean being the best of them all. That'd be the way I'd go about it. But let me know if you disagree, of course. And let me know, in terms of this team, if you are still watching, of course, what transfers would you make? So my original plan was to buy Son for one of Gordon, Hwang Hee-chan, or Palmer in Game Week 27. I could even do Tony out for Solanke. But my original plan was to do a forward transfer in Game Week 28, which would mean Haaland out for a Solanke and keeping Tony. But to be honest, if I'm not free hitting in 29, then Tony is expendable for the next two game weeks, to be fair. So really the -4 hit I took this week was a 1 week punt for the Brentford talisman. I could also make a defender transfer and buy Senesi or Gabriel at the back. And even a -4 hit isn't out of the cards this week. So yeah, let's actually play around with it in FPL.team very quickly. Be sure to drop a like if you haven't already. It's massively appreciated. So Son in for Hwang Hee-chan. I mean, I might show a bit more patience with him and keep him. Palmer or Gordon is a very difficult call. FPL.team does favour Gordon. There is a predicted points difference of 1 between the two. But yeah, this is a very difficult call, to be honest. Very difficult. I might even sell Gordon instead, keep Hwang Hee-chan. Go for something like this, and also sell Estupinian for Gabriel. And then we'll do something like this. Gabriel in for Ake. And yeah, Game Week 28. I could also take... Ignore that, by the way. In terms of the minus, I think it'd only be a -4. I just need to identify what transfers they've changed. So let me just reset the game week. So let's actually bring them in. I could bring in Senesi here. So I could do Ake out or Lascelles out for Senesi. And then I could bench Pedro Porro away to Aston Villa. And then, yeah, Haaland out for Solanke. And that massively improves the predicted points. Hwang Hee-chan at home to Fulham. I would start him over potentially Foden, to be fair. Potentially Foden, but very difficult to bench a player of that caliber. And maybe I bench Tony instead and just bank on the Arsenal clean sheet. So that's something I could do in Game Week 28, take a -4 hit, also take a -4 in 27, but guess what? I took a hit in 26 and in 25, so it is a lot. I'm being very aggressive and it's not really paying off recently. So I did sell Solanke to Darwin in 25, and I also, I bought in Tony this week and Hwang Hee-chan, and I went for the wrong budget midfielder, but things are up in the air. I'm going to wait for the FA Cup results before finalising my transfer plans, but anything could happen this week. A defender transfer, midfielder, or even a forward. I could even take a -4 hit to make 2 of those moves. Rolling could also be an option, but it all depends, I think, on the FA Cup that we get. The FA Cup results on Tuesday and Wednesday. So just to recap, in terms of Game Week 26, I've got 50 points so far, and I've gone up slightly by 2,000 places to 351,000. So not great, but a green arrow is better than a red one, of course. And I've got Areola and Tony left to play. So any returns from one of those two players would be enough to secure a green arrow. Let's see what people are saying. So should I do Hwang Hee-chan to Barkley for the double game week? I would say no. Avoid Tavernier from Bournemouth, terrible form at present. Yeah, he was showing decent form a couple of months ago, around November, I think it was. But you're right, he hasn't been good recently. Best wildcard this game week. I'll talk about this in a separate video so I can analyse it in detail. Solanke and Son will be my transfers if nothing changes. Yeah, I keep regretting selling Solanke a few weeks ago. It was the wrong call. I thought it would have paid off with Darwin's fixtures in 25. It was a great start, but yeah, it's just been a really poor outcome. I have Region Doughty, Taylor, Gabriel, Stupinian. Should I go for Senesi or Aït-Nouri? No free hit in 29. I'd still rather go for Senesi. Better fixture in 27 and a double in 28. 2 home fixtures as well. 1 clean sheet as possible over the next 3. I'd go for Senesi. You got to take out Stupinian for sure. Yeah, I'd bring in either Saliba, Region or Senesi. Yeah. I think Gabriel for me is the most appealing. Maybe even Senesi. That could be the way to go instead. It's a close call, to be fair. It's a really close call. Tony is decent, 4 goals and an assist with some difficult fixtures since he's back. Yeah, and that was a key reason why I did Solanke out for Darwin in the first place, because the plan was then to bring in Tony in 26 and attack the West Ham fixture. But if it doesn't pay off tomorrow, then these hits were absolutely useless. What app is that? It's FPL.team. It's a free resource. Be sure to check it out. I really need the Watkins form from last year. This year, annoyingly good. Yeah, he's been incredible. The best FPL forward by some distance, and Haaland might not even, catch up to him in terms of FPL points, which is crazy. Best time to wildcard after Game Week 29. Team dependent, but I'd say Game Week 30 or 31. Looking at it, I might end up wildcarding in Game Week 31. That's my current plan, but yeah, I'd say one of those two. Even for some people, Game Week 35 to enhance and facilitate the Game Week 37 bench boost. That's another possibility. So those are the best times to wildcard, I think. 30 or 31, if not 35. And my preference is probably a bit earlier, just after Blank Gameweek 29. But let's wait and see what the FA Cup has in store for us and how that impacts our transfer plans. Thank you very much for watching the stream. We've been going on for 1 hour and a half. It's been a pleasure. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe for new. And also be sure to check out the links in the description below for the Patreon, Championships Discord server, the FPL League, Draft Hound, and my Twitter and Instagram. Follow me on those platforms. The Discord server is great as well. You've got everything covered for FPL and UCL Fantasy. Linus says, I'm going to be patient and wait for the FA Cup results. I had to really stop myself from rage transferring Wang Hee-chan out. Yeah, look, the thought crossed my mind. I've done rage transfers before. Hasn't really paid off. Yeah, information for me is the most important thing, and yeah, a lot could change, in terms of your midfielder transfer. Do you buy Heung-min Son in this week? Do you wait a few more weeks? Are you free hitting in 29? A lot could be clarified with the results on Tuesday and Wednesday for that competition. Tremekid says Scott could be a good option for Bournemouth. Very capable of 2 double digits if he gets 2 starts in the double. That's the big if, though. Can he get 2 starts in the double? Let's wait and see. But for me, in terms of Bournemouth assets, if I had to rank them, it's Solanke first, probably Neto second, and Senesi third, but that could definitely interchange between second and third. Thank you to Stupaki as always. Latest Dylan, Tony hat-trick tomorrow, Region clean sheet and 2 assists. I'd definitely take that, to be honest. Yeah, not asking for much, yeah. Well, the way this week has gone, I think it is, but who knows? You never know in football. It can be full of surprises. And Brentford are West Ham's bogey team. Let's see how that ages by the next stream and video. Take care, everyone. I wish you all the best for Blank Gameweek 26, the remaining fixture, and the rest of the season. And I'll see you next time.